Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live stream. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
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 So as you can
Hello.
see, there's a wonderful panel here, and we don't have Satyagel, unfortunately. She's not able to make it anymore, but definitely check out her channel, catch up on her great videos, and we will do something else with her soon. So I definitely like to welcome the panel tonight. We have Prepping by Faith, Prepper Dog, Cold War Prepper, and Apartment Prepper. Also wanted to welcome everybody who's in chat and anybody who is listening on the replay. If you're here, please say hello. And if you don't say hello, that's okay. We're saying hello to you anyway. So we're going to go around. I'm sure you guys know who all these folks are, but we'll just take a moment and introduce the channels. So Prepping by Faith, would you please start?
Sure. I'm Prepping by Faith. I started my channel the end of January, and I created it to really motivate and encourage people, not only with preparedness, but also in their walk with the Lord. And I don't consider myself an expert in anything. Prepping is a journey, and I'm just sharing what I've learned with everyone. And hopefully that resonates with people and gets them excited about preparedness.
Great. Prepper Dog.
Hello, everyone. I can't even remember when I started my channel. I think it was about a year and a half ago or so. But all things prepping, but mostly focusing on current events, things going on in the world, and how that affects us and how we should prepare for it, and also from a Christian viewpoint.
Excellent. Apartment Prepper, how about you?
Well, I started prepping a long time ago, about 50 years ago during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I did most of my prepping social media through Facebook and my website. And then I got kicked off Facebook. So I had to find another social media outlet. So I've been on YouTube now for just about a year. And so I'm rather new to YouTube, but not new to prepping.
Welcome.
Well, at least me, I guess. I am newer than you to YouTube. I've been on YouTube as a user, but I started my channel in April. I was looking for information on prepping in an apartment, and there was some, but not a whole lot at the time. So I started my channel hoping to encourage people who live in an apartment or a small space and are on a limited income. And it was funny because literally like a couple weeks after I started mine, there was an explosion in apartment prepping tips and videos all across the internet. So, which is good. So, but that's what that's what I do.
Well, excellent. And I see that Harvey's here. Welcome. And he's been dropping some of the links to the channels in the chat. And the channel links are also in the description box. I think it sounds a little echoey. Okay, I'll work on that. But I have a question for everyone in chat. Is it too early to prep for winter, do you think? And if you have any questions for the panel, please, we'd love to hear them. Please put them in capital letters. And I'm going to take a minute and sort out my audio. And in the meantime, I was wondering if we could maybe start with Apartment Prepper and tell us a few of the challenges in your area to do with winter and preparing.
Okay, well, first of all, the first question you said, is it too early to prepare for winter? Absolutely not. I always prepare for the next winter at the end of the last one. I'm always like a season or two out. That's what I do. Challenges for me, at least this coming year, I think is going to be because I don't have a vehicle, and the grocery store, if there's a blizzard or a storm or something, I can't rely on delivery from Walmart. And even where I live on the top of a really steep hill, and the slightest weather problem, the buses don't come up here. So that's, again, prepping is what it's all about, but that's the main reason I prep. But that's a big issue for me, is going to be grocery, like just my regular monthly groceries during the wintertime. And otherwise, we get blizzards and stuff like that. And we get power outages too. We get a lot of windstorms. I had my power knocked out twice by wind already. And they say it's worse in the wintertime. So I think that will be an issue, is power outages. But I feel fairly prepared for those as long as they're not like a week or two. So.
Speaking of prepared for those, you guys probably saw Sassy Gal had a video of a real life power outage. So anyone in chat who hasn't seen that, I was just thinking I'd love to hang out with Sassy Gal in one of those situations because she was so fun and just upbeat. And yeah, there's lots of people here in the chat. I just want to say a quick hello. Nene's Prepping Kitchen, good to see you. Rip Curl Readiness, Kill It, hey, Kill It. Creative Redundancy, how's it going? What's the weather like where you are? Nate is here, nice to see you. And Mary Misfit in Wisconsin, we see you there. Maggie is here, Ispy as well. And Mrs. Dawg. I always love to say hi to Mrs. Dawg. LG is here, Virginia Bushcrafter, and others. If I haven't mentioned you, hopefully I will catch up in the chat a little bit later. Cold War Prepper, what are some challenges in your area to do with winter?
The biggest challenge we have is we don't have snow here. We have ice storms. Mm-hmm. And of course, about Snowmageddon, which was last February. The best way to explain Central Texas is February of 1997. We had 7 continuous days of ice and below zero weather at the beginning of February. Then the last week of February, we had 6 continuous days over 100 degrees. So how do you prepare for those kind of temperature extremes? And we don't have the equipment to remove snow or anything like that. And of course, the ice accumulation on the power lines are always going to break and everything else. So trying to prepare for totally unpredictable weather extremes and ice storms is the biggest challenge that we have.
Absolutely. How about you, Prepper Dog? What do you think?
I'm going to sound a lot like Cold War Prepper because it's very, very much the same thing here in North Georgia. And a lot of people are caught off guard that move here from other areas of the country because they just figure they're coming to Georgia. They're in the deep South and they're not going to see snow. They're not going to ever see ice. It's going to be 75 to 80 degrees all the time. And that's not the case. I mean, in the winter, so it can be, you can have the wide swings of temperature within hours. So it can be 75 degrees one day, and then in less than 12 hours, even during the day, it can drop down below freezing. And so we've had some snowmageddons here as well. And like out there where in Central Texas, the same here, we don't have the plows and the machinery and the structure, the infrastructure to be able to clear roads here. So it just paralyzes everything. So it's like cluing people in, especially new, the transients that come in. So it's like, and a lot of them will come in and say, I didn't know it got this cold here, And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you're in Central Georgia to South Georgia, okay, no, that's more rare. It stays warm there. But once you cross over Atlanta and go north of that, it's a different story. So that's probably the biggest one is unpredictable weather.
Yeah, and literally having to prepare for every option. Sunhowl, good to see you. I hope you had a good trip to the shoe swap. Okay, Prepping by Faith, would you tell us a few of the challenges you have in your area or region?
Sure. So for us, I'm here in Colorado. Our biggest challenge would be blizzards in the winter. So that's something that, we deal with every year. So as far as what I feel like our family would be challenged with in our specific location is just losing heat. So I think a lot of people are probably concerned about that one because we do have an electric furnace. So we don't have a generator that is large enough to power something like that up. So we do have natural gas flowing to our home. So we do have a natural gas fireplace and we have the ability to kick that on with the battery pack. So that is something that we do have. And then our master bedroom is actually south facing. So that would be the room that we would kind of gravitate towards and try to stay inside should it get really cold in the house. So we also have a Mr. Buddy heater. I'm sure many of you guys have those as well with, the backup propane and all that. So, just having extra things like that available, tents indoors. One of the other things that we did purchase is something called a bed tent. I don't know if you guys have seen those or heard about those, but I purchased one of those for my girls. And our room is actually large enough that we could move their bed in there with us too if we had to. And so we would go ahead and erect that over my oldest full-size bed and then have my younger one bunk in there with her. So that's something that we've kind of strategized.
That's a really great idea. I see Survival Living is here. Thank you for the super chat. You didn't have to do that. That's much appreciated. And Survival Living has brought up an important point about the sharknadoes in Florida and something that is a serious concern. And we will definitely be watching for your video on that topic. Another thing to mention, anyone who's over on Instagram, Survival Living is posting stuff over there. So definitely go and join up. You will not be disappointed. Maggie's here. Good to see you, as well as Sugar in the Attic Homestead. Nice to see you too. And Fred, we see you there over from Maine. And Prepper Cowboy, good to see you. I know that our schedules often don't align. So very nice to see you. So I will mention a couple of the challenges. We've relocated into northern British Columbia. We have winter, we have signs of fall already, and we are expecting the summer season is wrapping up literally any day now. And what we're going to be facing, of course, is a lot of cold weather. It's not uncommon to be minus 20 Celsius where we are, but one of the things is the large amount of darkness that we're going to have. It's 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to start getting dark. So something else to consider in terms of mental fortitude. And it's frigid. It's snowy. So, and also we are on the electrical grid, but we're not for the other stuff. And I know that's kind of the main one is electricity, but for water and septic and stuff, we're not. So all the things to do with that are things that we have to consider, and we have to do it now. So that's why we're super keen on this topic right now. And I'm super glad to have some people from the South who are keen on the topic too, because that's great.
Hey, be thankful. I'm sorry, I was gonna say, be thankful you're not in the UK. You saw what's happening over there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, the papers are saying that 80% of the people in the UK will not be turning on their electric at all this winter because the crisis, the energy prices and everything are so high. They're teaching people how to boil water for the least amount of cost so they can at least do that type of thing this winter. Prepper Granny UK or Granny Prepper UK on Instagram. If you don't know who she is, follow her. She has all the information about what's going on in the UK. It's amazing.
Vin City, in the middle of the winter, what do you have, about 6 or 8 hours of daylight?
Yeah, not very much at all. And so, and we've lived up here before. I lived up here when I was a little kid, and I've worked up here tons in my life in the winter. But mentally, it's just something to prepare for because I would usually go cross-country skiing around lunchtime every day just to get outside in daylight because it's that marathon of lack of light that is an issue. And I see YJ Overlander. I definitely see you around. I didn't realize you were also in this area, so I'd love to chat more with you. That would be awesome. Wisconsin Farm Boy, how are you doing? And Uncle Al is here. Kim is here from Northern Nevada, and Oslander Jack, nice to see you. We know where you are. And creative redundancy, seasonal affective disorder is a thing. Yes, for sure it is. And if anyone has anything they want to mention about that, love to hear it. So I wanted to ask you guys some of your, maybe we could start with one of your plans that you're doing, launching into the thought of winter. Prepping by Faith, what are you thinking? What are you doing at this point?
Well, right now, I think I'm going to be working on just kind of going through my girls' things and making sure they haven't outgrown things. I think you can understand and relate to that one. Is just, they grow out of things so quickly. So I do have, some larger sizes put back for them, but I just want to make sure I have enough, make sure I have, their long underwear covered, boots, wool socks, all those kinds of things. And then the other thing I want to do is kind of go through the stuff that we have for the vehicles, because I think that's another important thing that people kind of overlook. And so just making sure that you have an emergency kit for your car. So you know, having your first aid, but also having hand warmers, some thermal blankets, snacks, water, you know, jumper cables, glow sticks, flashlights, those sorts of things, and making sure those are ready to go.
Yeah, Prepper Dog, what do you think?
Firewood is a big one, is my first thing, and I already have some, but I need to get more. And so firewood, we have a fireplace that is in our our main living area, and the living area is big enough we could, if we lost power, we could have a tent in there as well, sleeping bags. So I'm preparing for that because the power outage is my main concern. And even here, we get ice more than snow. And we don't get snow that often here. I mean, and when we do, it's gone usually within a day or two. But we can get that freak ice, storm, and even a little quarter of an inch can take the power out. And depending on how much, it can take the power out more than several days. It can take it out from a day to a week. So that the alternative ways to heat. So firewood, propane for your Mr. Buddy heater, and of course charcoal. I'm pretty stocked up on that. Charcoal and propane for outdoor cooking. So I got plenty of that.
So I see in the comments there's a whole bunch of people with channels and lots of people I can tell that have lots of experience. But in case anyone's listening who's a little more new to this topic, Prepper Doug, would you mind elaborating on that topic of having a tent indoors?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to at least have it ready. The only time I really employed that is back in 93, 94? When the blizzards of 93 came through. I'm old enough to remember that. But and it reached us here, Cold War. Prepper, you probably remember that one good, but it got us pretty good here in North Georgia. So we lost power about a week. So we even got low on firewood, and I keep plenty. And we put a little tent up in the living room right by the, not right on the fire, but the tent, set it up in your living space, and then put your sleeping bags in. You got blankets, you got hats, gloves if you need that. I mean, you can get in there, and it's like extra insulation, to keep your body warm, heated up. So works great.
Creating that micro environment, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that idea of the tent bed. I don't think I'd heard about that before.
Yeah.
It works well. I mean, we had our sleeping bags folded out. We slept in the living room, and but then it just wasn't going away. We're not used to having the power out that long, of course. So we had the tent, pulled out the tent, and set it up. So it was great.
So Wisconsin Farm Boy has 2 years of wood and tons more to be cut.
Nice.
And then Maggie has been making some great points here. Fat wood lasting a lot longer and producing less smoke. Yeah, and keeping it hot and slow burning. Thank you for sharing these ideas. And it's also good to see you, Blue Vandal. Nice to see you. Apartment Prepper, what are some of your plans?
Well, I am moving to a bigger apartment in a couple weeks. That'll be nice. That's kind of got my focus right now. But, it's so weird. After last year, I'm not so worried about winter. And I know that sounds weird. For anyone who doesn't know, I lived in my car. My brother and I, we lived in our car last fall and winter. So we have a lot of experience with being cold, but yet being warm. So that's good. My main concern, I guess, for us is food still, because we had to start over buying food when we moved into this apartment at the end of January. And I'm still trying to kind of get caught up with that, with getting canned soups and a few of those type of things to have. And for anybody who likes the tent idea but can't afford it, old-fashioned kids fort with the table and the chairs and the blankets works just fine. I have a friend who did that down in Texas during Snowmageddon for her kids. So you do what you can, but that works just as well as a tent. So just not as tall. You have to,
Yeah. Great idea. And Arc Livin is here. Good to see you. And I see a comment from Maggie. Silk cloth is amazing for warmth and is lightweight. Thermal blankets, having extra ones that you can cut up, and firewood is great. But yeah, that fat wood point again. Yeah. So Cold War prepper, how about you? What are some thoughts?
Well, I have a habit, and I need to break, of deceiving people into thinking that I'm halfway smart. And I've deceived myself that way too. And then every once in a while, reality is this big 12-inch cast iron skillet that just slaps you smack on the nose. And so I had all these plans on how I was going to do Snowmageddon, and had the solar system and the battery backup, but the battery backup only lasts for about 20 hours. And then, of course, the solar system's not charging when it's got 6 inches of ice covering over top of it, and the skies are overcast for 7 consecutive days. So I had that figured out. I figured, aha, I got this one. I'm going to get myself a 5 kW Honda generator. And when stuff like that happens, I can just put it out in the backyard and run a cord into the house, and everything will be fine. So I started to put the Honda generator out in the backyard and realized, how am I going to get the cord inside the house without having an open door at 7 degrees below zero? And that didn't seem like too smart of an idea. So I've got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how I'm going to do it this year, because unless we get something where we can plug it into the outside, have an electrician put in basically a male plug on the outside, so I can take an extension cord and plug it into the wall, and then have a regular female on the inside where I can plug an extension cord into it there, then the generator is just not going to work. So coming up with a solution for that's going to be a big thing.
If I can just
absolutely
say real quick,
please.
Cold War prepper, you need to go check out. There's a channel on YouTube called Prepping Over 50. He's in Dallas, and he has a whole bunch of videos about all the stuff he did during Snowmageddon with his generators. I bought a Delta EcoFlow because of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the whole reason I bought a Delta EcoFlow. I watched a lot of videos, but seeing how he really used it during and how he was outside and everything, but it was just, it's a very informative, real life, the whole time of that, he was making videos and getting them out. So I would definitely, anybody who's maybe in Texas might want to check, or just anybody in general might want to check.
Can you give me that name one more time?
Prepping Over 50.
Oh, a youngster, huh?
He's also the one I learned about, you can use a ham radio in an emergency without having a license. I didn't know that. So I learned that from him too. So just very informative channel. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt again. But...
Oh, no, great. Thank you.
No, it's perfect. And by the way, I cannot go past this comment from Maggie. Cold War prepper, you have had a tremendous experience. I've tried your solutions and found they work great.
Thank you, Maggie.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, that's so nice. And Oz Lander saying, none of us are over 50. We're all 21 with some experience.
I like that one.
Yes. And prepping by faith, would you like to add anything about that? Or
about what in particular? I guess I missed the...
Just any more plan ideas?
Oh yeah, I have lots of ideas. One of the other things that we purchased is an electric blanket. So if you guys have yourselves like a solar generator, you can go ahead and plug those in. But I would suggest doing some research on which ones are really good, because a lot of those electric blankets aren't really going to last the way you want them to. So I spent some time and I found one. It's called Pure Enrichment, and it's something that I got online from Mattress Firm, and that one actually has a 5-year warranty with it, and it uses 200 watts. So that's something that you guys might want to check into. It's just getting one that's actually going to last for you and not burn out, because I know they do that. So the other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys, and I feel like it's kind of important, is if your home temperature drops in the winter like that, where you don't have heat, something that you might want to be considering is how are you going to insulate all of those glass jars of food that you have preserved? So that's something that I would start checking into. So because as those freeze and then they thaw out, the seals can break, the glass can shatter. So I would suggest, you know, having some paper and stuff ready to wrap those, maybe some boxes with some blankets that you could insulate around them, just having stuff like that on hand. Maybe even something like an old pair of, like, you know, long socks, having extras of those that you could just slip over the top of them, just something to kind of insulate those sorts of things.
Good point.
Great idea. And on that note, Maggie is saying that you have some great city solutions, and Maggie has recently purchased a few, and so far they have
That's
been
awesome.
successful. So that's nice.
That's great news.
And I see, yeah, I see the Mr. McBean is here. Thanks for stopping in. Killer J is here. I've appreciated your recent comments on some of the videos, and Grateful Preps New Jersey. That happened to us during Sandy, no heat for a week. I had nothing, not even firewood. That's what woke me up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wish I had was a fireplace. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, on my list of plans, one of them is to cut a whole bunch more wood, like a ton of wood, because that's mostly what we're going to be using, a lot of wood for sure. And I see YJ Overlander has mentioned the worst oversight was when the house froze up, all canning jars broke, every one of them except for the pickles and alcohol.
Yeah.
Just along the lines of what Prepping by Faith is saying. Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that happened, I used to work in northern Saskatchewan. It was sometimes -50. It's not even exaggeration, winter. And I'd have to go out at night and check on the drill because we're drilling for uranium. And I'd go out, and when I was out, one time my heater in my tent went off because we were in a tent. I've posted photos of it. When I got back, the whole thing had froze, like the movie Frozen, where there was ice everywhere. The whole thing had frozen solid, and all of my containers, everything had frozen solid, and it was the middle of the night. And you know, what do? I had to we had to fix the heater, and then I just got in amongst all these sleeping bags and just curled up and just insulated myself.
That's what you have to do. That's what we did when we were in the car, even when it was, you know, cold.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Like when it was cold, like what did you do?
Well, I did a lot of research before we moved into the car because I knew it was coming. So I just did a lot of research, and I made sure we had plenty of blankets and sleeping bags and hand warmers and feet warmers. Those little things that you snap are your best friend. I said this on someone else's live, and I don't remember. Those little hand or feet warmers, if you snap it and put it in the small of your back, it will warm up like your whole torso for several hours on end. I mean, I was in the car one night and it was, I forget, like 2 degrees. I mean, that's not as cold as anything what you experienced, but you know, it just is, that was wonderful. And you do, you know, you bundle layers. It's just all the layers and you know, it's just too much to explain in a little short thing. I should do a video about it sometime, about the whole kind of everything I learned from that. But yeah, it's I learned that I can endure. I learned I can make it. So, and I will tell you, even the dog was safe in Salt Lake City for a while, but there was a couple nights he was with me when it was cold, and I had him in a sweater. I had him wrapped up in a blanket. I had him in a furry bed. I had a blanket over that, and he was fine. So it's just, I think I was more concerned about him than me.
Yeah, well, I love the idea of the fort. If a person didn't have a tent, it's a really good idea. And Sun Owl is saying that would be an awesome topic, car life.
I agree.
That's great.
I've thought about
it
it. I've
needs to.
thought about it ever since I started my channel, and you know, because I keep bringing it up, and I don't mean to say, "Oh, I was homeless. Look at me." I always feel like it looks that way, but it's not. It's just I keep saying it's still so fresh because it was still not even. You know, it was last year this time. I was living in a car. My brother and I were living in the car. So, and that was a whole experience in itself with a special needs brother in a car. So yeah, I'll have to make a video.
Yes, that would have been very tough for
And now
sure.
we're
And
moving
our
into
tent life is here.
2-bedroom apartment. Yay!
Yeah. Do you plan to make some videos about that?
Oh yeah, I do. I'm excited.
So Prepper Dog, do you have any other things that you're planning for the next few months?
I would also say, don't forget, especially in this region, don't forget about the pipes, the plumbing. So, you know, depending on where you live, and in certain regions, it's not an issue. The homes are already, you know, prepared for that. But here, they're not. So, if we get below freezing, or even, you know, and it can happen in a flash, and you're not prepared for it, you run the risk of your pipes freezing, and then the next day when things warm up a bit, they'll burst. So what I typically do is I put a cover on the outside spigot, on the outside walls, and then indoors, when we know it's about to get, you know, freezing, below freezing, we open up, especially in the evening, open up all the cabinets, you know, to let some heat get in there, and keep all those open, and the bathrooms and the kitchen and all that. And then also keep a little bit of the water running, you know, both sides, cold and hot. Just have it just a thin, you know, just have it to where it's dripping, not a slow drip, but just a thin line to where you're getting flow through there, so it won't freeze up. And that's worked for us.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks will forget that, especially if they moved in here and they don't, from somewhere, and not used to getting that cold. So something to think about.
These are great ideas just to get the ball rolling, because, you know, sometimes there's something we need to purchase or borrow or do now. And the thing is for us, like, if we don't do stuff where we are, and same with YJ Overlander, if we don't do it here now, it's not getting done until next year. So, you know, it's all about the checklists, and sometimes there's certain things that we need someone to help with, and we've got to get that all organized now. So that's why we were sort of opening up the conversation and hoping that you guys will make some more winter themed videos coming up.
Well,
Is anybody going to be, oh yeah, please.
I have a personal one, and I think it may be relevant to a lot of people. But Helen broke her right hip 9 months before I broke my right hip. So we have synchronized limping as we go through Walmart or any place else. And, you know, it's been 2 months, 2.5 months now since I broke mine, maybe 2 months. And I just stopped using the little push go-karts when I go shopping, and I'm actually walking with a cane. So we have a goal of getting ourselves physically better to endure anything. So we're looking at both strength and endurance. And so we have a goal to where the two of us, without a cane or any other assisted walking devices, can walk 1 mile in 20 minutes. So we're just going to go out and exercise and see what we can do to get our bodies back in better shape. And I think that once we get our bodies more resilient and strengthened, then we'll be able to adapt better to some of the temperature differences that we'll be experiencing.
Wow, that's a good one. Does anyone else have anything along those lines to talk about?
Oh, don't forget about your vehicles. Make sure they're prepped for winter too. You know, antifreeze. Keep some things in the vehicle as far as hats, gloves, blanket, first aid kit, little water. You know, I keep an extra bottle of water, a protein bar in there. So especially in the winter. So.
And don't forget the pets, even in your car. Make sure if you have pets, you got stuff for them in the car as well as at home.
And
Yep.
if there's ice on the ground, don't let your dog or cat walk on the concrete. It tears their poor paws to all get up.
Yeah.
If you can get them to wear those boots.
Yeah.
Well, that's always fun, isn't it?
My dog won't wear them, but
Mine either.
I've seen some with them.
Don't forget
Well,
salt.
our dog
Salt.
is. Oh yeah.
Salt around for your walkway, so you don't bust your behind when you walk down to go outside.
And if you need stuff like that, you need to try getting it now, because you know how everything is.
Yeah.
When word of a storm comes, everybody goes nuts and wipes everything out. So that's like, a lot of us here have talked about it. A lot of us have already bought our food for the holidays that we can buy, like, maybe canned whatever, cranberry sauce and stuffing and things like that maybe we don't cook from scratch. We've already bought that because we know how it's going to be here in a couple months. And the same thing is with any supplies you need for winter. You should always be thinking several months ahead. And I mean, that's how I do it. And I don't want to say that's how you have to do it, but it's helped me. So I'm not left out at the last minute going, oh crap. Like when I lived in a house, I had to go buy a shovel for the snow. Even though I was in Oklahoma, we had it occasionally. And so I bought a shovel in the summertime. Just, so because, the first whiff of a storm and everything's gone at your local stores. So that's my advice.
Ice scrapers are to winter what toilet paper is to lockdown.
I like that. That's great. That was cute.
So we've got Auslander, who probably confused what we're talking about. Spring's just around the corner. What are you guys talking about, right?
Yeah, he's in winter right now.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And Sky Blue, stock up pet food in case of supply issues. So that point about thinking of your pets is a good one.
The prices
and Blue Vandals, fire starter, sleeping bag, hand warmers, flares, and backup card.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Killet.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're going to do is have a cross-country ski track as something to do to get out and be, exercise. Nice. So going around and be building that sort of when the first snow starts falling. And yeah, having some sort of exercise plan to keep going, or some, whatever people do for their physical activity. And Uncle Al has a good point. Yeah, don't die from shoveling snow. So being mindful of a person's own limitations.
Yes, because that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also wanted to give a video shout out today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Secret Stuff put up a video about having like a hunting kit or a kill kit in a preparedness kit, and it is definitely something that I haven't seen pretty much on any channel talk about. So just another thing to think about. And I remember one of the big points was also knowing how to fillet a fish to, get the bones out and stuff. Those are very good skills. Van City Adventures here. Good to see you. And Creative Redundancy, thanks again for making the amazing icon that we have at the top. Yeah, sounds good. So we've got Sun Owl saying neck warmer hoodies, but they're expensive, but a good investment. We've also got YJ Overlander saying ice auger for fishing. Yeah, ice augers are pretty handy when you live in the north, definitely. And Creative Redundancy is saying gaiters and buffs. For, gaiters for keeping the snow out of your boots, and buffs for keeping the cold air off your face. And Our Tent Life has suggested a beach towel. That's pretty funny.
Hey, I used towels when I lived in the car. You put it over the dashboard and on the back, so if water drips, it catches it and doesn't go into your electronics.
Oh, wow.
So at night when you're sleeping, and any ice melting. So.
And the best
A
thing about
really
winter is it
good-
gives you an excuse to drink Swiss Miss milk chocolate.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna make me jealous up here because that's an American thing, and you guys are all in the States.
The brand or the hot chocolate?
Good stuff.
The brand, yeah, that's
Oh.
Swiss Miss. It's I actually learned about it from Cynthia at the Bakes Prep, and then when we were in the States, I bought some specifically because of her recommendation. I made a video and then brought it back to Canada, and then I actually had people saying, "Don't take our stuff out of the States."
That's what Bellingham was
Oh,
built
no.
for. If you were in Bellingham, it was built for Canadian shoppers. All that whole mall and shopping area was. So, Washington State town.
Yeah,
All the Canadians for years have driven down there, and that town really exists for Canadian shoppers for years.
hmm. So are you guys planning, is anyone doing any indoor or outdoor growing in through the winter?
You know what? I'm considering trying to pull in my tomatoes and my bell peppers and seeing if I can't just keep them near my window and see if they can get enough sun and just grow them inside. I'm going to just test it out this year and we'll see what happens, but maybe they'll keep producing. I don't know. We'll try it.
Yeah, awesome.
For us, it just depends on how cold it gets and what we see coming. But kind of a, as we go along kind of thing here. But we've planted some things that are more cold weather, fall, winter plants in the garden. So I think we'll be fine.
Is anybody starting to prepare their plants for overwintering? That's something that would be happening up here, but maybe not down there yet. What were you going to say, apartment prepper?
Oh no, I was going to say, now that I'm moving into a place that I think it has a little balcony area, I'm going to have to think, or a little patio area. I'm going to have to start thinking about that because that's been one of my excuses for not growing, as I didn't have the space. And now I'm going to have a bigger apartment and some outdoor space. So I'm going to be doing some research into all of that, maybe finally getting on board.
I did want to mention one thing, going back to what Prepper Dog was talking about, the water and the pipes and all of that. I think people need to also be kind of thinking about the fact that if it gets too cold, you need to actually turn that water off. So if it gets below like 40 degrees in your house, you want to turn that off entirely. So you're going to want to make sure that you have plenty of potable water and things put up, and then that's going to complicate issues like hygiene and other things. So being able to still flush your toilets, having baby wipes and things to keep clean. I know I mentioned before several times that we have something called scrubs that you can reactivate with a little bit of water, and that's more like a bath. But even when you're wiping yourself off, if it's that cold inside, you're going to want to do it really quickly and in stages, because you're not going to want to drop your core temperature way down. It's going to be harder for you to warm back up. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there.
Oh,
like it.
that's awesome. Go ahead. What were you saying, Cold War Prepper?
I just said I like it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. Prepperines is here. Good to see you, and is asking, are we taking questions? Yes, please. If you have any questions, that's awesome. If you stick them in caps, I will see them easier. And if you already asked something and I missed it, I definitely apologize. I am listening intently, and sometimes the chat goes by, but I will check it out later, and definitely follow the recommendations. For example, we had Granny Prepper UK over on Instagram as a recommendation from Apartment Prepper. I've seen a link to Mark's Adventures channel. We'll definitely check that out later. You guys should definitely check out that Secret Stuff Kill Kit video, because I haven't seen anyone else do something like that. And yeah, we'd love to have any questions that come up.
That was Prepper Granny UK. I had it backwards. I just checked.
Yeah, okay, perfect. We'll check that out. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the UK. Did anyone want to mention any current events since we're here, just as a teaser to your own videos?
I know we have to talk about, we talked about it a little bit before we came on, is the Mississippi, what's going on there. I think it's in Jackson, that they just basically have no water right now in Jackson, Mississippi. And that's a lot of people. So let's keep in mind, don't forget about keeping your stock of water, or however, if you have catchment systems, or just to always be ready for that. I mean, flushing toilets, washing, there's so much we don't really realize how much water we use. Sometimes I think about it when we're running, just running the faucet, doing like brushing your teeth or washing dishes. It's like, we really use a lot of water if you think about it, not just drinking it, it's flushing your toilets, it's showering. So let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, and speaking about dishes, like you were just saying, one of the other things that you guys can do is, I mean, obviously we want to use like paper plates and that sort of thing if we have them. But the other thing that you can do is wipe off the majority of that leftover food with a baby wipe, and then you can take a bucket and fill it with 1 gallon of water and a tablespoon of bleach, and then you can just let each dish sit in there for a minute, and then up to several minutes if it's been in contact with raw meat, and then just let it air dry. So that's something else that you can do to try to cut down on the water for dishes.
Good idea. Good.
Well, before we came on, I was sharing with Prepper Dawg. I don't do news. I look primarily at just being prepper focused and solution focused. And I noticed I got an alert across the top of my computer. I checked out, and I was telling Prepper Dawg that the U.S. has closed its embassy in Iraq. Saddam Hussein's son is running for president, and it appears that he's going to be elected. And so the U.S. has closed its embassy, is withdrawing back. Iran has closed the border with Iraq, and it looks like there's going to be another civil war in Iraq. And so that part of the world, once again, is starting to keep up with its name of being the powder keg of the world. So we can anticipate more problems in that area here coming up in the very near future. So just pay attention to it.
Where there's a void, it's going to be filled.
Yeah.
And it's usually not filled with something very, very good. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that bit of info. We have a question from YJ Overlander. What are some things you see your neighbors not doing to prepare, and what will you do when they come knocking? Anyone want to answer that?
Well, this is going to be a little bit on the biblical side, but James 2 verses 14 through 24 says that we have an obligation, especially verse 24. It says, "Oh, vain man does not know that faith without works is dead, being alone." So if you go back up into the text, it says, "What does it profit, my brother, if a man come to you naked and destitute, in need of food and clothing, and you say unto him, Depart, be filled with the Spirit, and go in peace, notwithstanding you give him those things which are needed." So I believe it's my responsibility, because of my faith, to help anybody who comes to my door and asks for something. And then we have a national coalition in our church, and we had 400 people on yesterday, church preparedness, and this was nationwide. And they mentioned 1 Timothy 2:5, and that says that if we don't take care of our family, whether or not they are prepared, then are we really practicing our faith? And so, I keep looking at that. And so what I do is I've got I tell people in my videos, things like, if I get a bucket of oats and somebody comes to my door starving, I'm going to pour the majority of those oats out into a Ziploc bag. I'm going to give them the container with just a little bit of oats in the bottom, so that they think that that's my last food. They don't come back for more, but I'm still helping them. So there are little things you can do like that. You can have prepackaged things. I buy 6-ounce cans of vegetables and beanie weenies and stuff like that, just for the sake of giving them away. I told my neighborhood, I put out a letter to the neighborhood after Snowmageddon, and I said, if we have food problems, then I'm going to open up. I have a 5-gallon pot, and I'm going to do a neighborhood nail soup or stone soup, whatever you want to call it, 3 days a week. And if you come and you dump something into the pot, you can take out a cup of soup. But if you don't donate water, food, or something to keep it warm, then you're going to have to pass it by. Or if you don't want to participate, you don't want to eat. But that's kind of where I am as far as helping other people that will be coming to my door.
That's
I think it's a
really
great
cool.
idea.
Thank you for sharing.
I think it's a great idea to have extra like that. That's perfect, and that way you can offer to help, not give it all away, but at least help, get them through. We try to keep extra too. I keep extra in my car, extra couple of bottles of water, protein bars, because in my work I'm in the community, and I will typically run into somebody almost every day that has nothing. So instead of cash, which I don't carry when I'm working like that, I just give them one of those things, and they typically take it, no problem.
Oh, that's great. And in regards to the neighbors not prepping, I like Sun Owl's comment here. Don't assume they're not prepping. You'd look at me and think that chick's doomed. So yeah, not judging a book by its cover is a good one.
I know people who have enough food in their house for like maybe that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact that, and that's it. And I don't know what they, and I've said something about it, but they're like, "Oh, you're paranoid," or whatever. But okay, I don't know what else to tell you. But that's a good point by the commenter. Is that you don't, just by outward appearances, you won't. It's hard to know how much somebody's prepping. That's true.
I live in Utah. I assume everybody's prepping. I assume prepping is just part of the psyche up here. I mean, yes, more Californians have moved in and maybe they aren't, but those who are hardcore long-term Utahns, prepping is part of who they are, even if they're not LDS. I've said it before on my channel, you walk into any grocery store here and there's just like a whole row of Augustin Farms products and other, it's normal. And it's just the way here, when you see a buggy that's just loaded down, you're like, oh, they're Mormon, they got 20 kids or something like that. You don't think of it in the terms of, oh, they're prepping. You go, oh, they probably are LDS and just have tons of children to feed. It's just part of the life here. So that's kind of nice. It's not looked at as weird here. It's just, everyone just assumes everybody else is.
Yep. Sky Blue had a fantastic comment, and Alaska Prepper put this out earlier today, and it's something I think we all need to be aware of. Cost of food is going up. The number of people who require assistance at food banks is going up. But the availability of food is not there. So because of the cost of the food and because of the greater demand, food banks are basically closing their doors. They don't have anything to give away. So, if you can afford it, and I realize that not everybody can, just every time you go shopping, pick up one or two things with the sole intent of donating that to your local food bank. And if you can't do that, just donate cash. I mean, it's something as simple as every time I go home, I empty my pockets of dimes, and every dime goes into a separate bucket. At the end of the month, that bucket goes to the food bank. So you don't have to do anything extreme, but every little bit helps.
Mm-hmm. And you can also go ahead and any items that you have that are coming up on date, you could go ahead and donate those sorts of items as well, because there's always stuff that we don't quite get to. At least I've noticed that in our household. It's impossible to watch every little thing when you have a lot of it that you're trying to keep track of, because we have, quite a bit. I'm not going to go into how much because probably shouldn't be revealing that on here, but yeah. So that's something that we started doing, is just kind of going through those about, once every month or two and kind of donating those items.
I like Killer J. You see Killer J's there? And my freshman year in college, 1970, at University of Texas at El Paso, we had this Dr. Paul Ehrlich was the political science professor. He just put out a brand new book. It was called The Population Bomb. And so, he was predicting the world's overpopulation and what was going to happen to us.
I noticed, did you guys see the question from Preparedness that was in there? He said, what are each of your biggest concerns in the next coming months, your biggest and most probable threats? So for me, I think it's just the impending economic collapse. I think that's at the forefront of my mind, seeing all this inflation that is taking off, the astronomical utility prices, the gas prices, all of these things I think are culminating. I don't think a lot of these, even the larger corporations, are probably going to end up, I mean, they're already starting to talk about mass layoffs, but I'm thinking that even some of them, if things get bad enough, will go under. And so that's going to be a huge thing that I'm concerned about and that I'm preparing for. So as far as what we're doing to prep for them, I just keep doing what you're doing. Continue to put things back, because everything that we have is going to be worth its weight in gold. I mean, I do think that people should diversify when it comes to preparedness. So just having, backups to your backups, like we talk about, covering all of your bases. And then if you do have extra at all, just, consider investing in a little bit of precious metals. I know some of us do that in the community, and I think that is a wise move.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could see a recession. I think we're in a recession.
Yes.
I think we could see. I think we could see a depression. I think we could. I think the likelihood of that is increasing by the day right now. And I posted something on my community page a few days ago that I took a picture at the grocery store of a 32-ounce jar of mayonnaise that was $8.50.
Yes.
I mean, I like some Duke's mayonnaise now, but I'm not paying $8. So I passed on that. But it was like, that's the first time that I've seen something like that, and I'm not shocked by high prices. I expect it to keep going up, but that was like a moment for me, like, holy, and I pulled out my phone. I'm gonna take a picture of that, but still, I think that pales in comparison to what it may end up going up to, just everything, all food.
For me, it's the whole economic thing too, and grocery prices. With me being low income and having to start over again at the beginning this year and prepping, it's just having enough food for if something does happen. I mean, I have a good amount, but I don't feel like I have enough. And it's, when you go to the store, it's frustrating. I don't know how y'all have seen peanut butter in your area. Most of us buy peanut butter. The Walmart in my town, all the Walmarts in my town, you can't find peanut butter outside of, what is this, the little tiny 1 pound thing?
Wow.
That's all you can find now. And if you can find crunchy anywhere, you're lucky.
Wow.
So
we're having problems with dairy again. It just kind of manifested in the last week or so. We can't find heavy cream anywhere in our stores, and we can't find buttermilk. So
interesting.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Different parts of the country are having different issues, I guess. But that's my concern, though, is the prices going up. Because, since I'm on food stamps for right now still, I'm limited in what I can get, obviously. I mean, I do what I can, but that's my concern. And that may not seem as big to other people who are way prepped and ready to go. But again, I had to start over really for a lot of things at the beginning of the year, and feel very far behind where I need to be because these prices just keep going up.
My biggest fear going forward.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm worried about the financial system as well. Same kind of thing. And wait a minute, isn't there a live stream on Friday by Prepping by Faith that's going to talk more about that?
Yes, and Prepper Dog's going to be on there with me as well.
That's right.
Nice.
All right, so we all have to go over there. But yes, mirroring what these folks have already said, that's my biggest one at the moment. And Cold War Prepper, I turn it over to what you were going to say.
Well, there's a Navajo saying, and the Navajo say that inside of our mind, there are two wolves that are combating each other for control of our mind. One of them is love and goodness, and the other one is hatred and evil. And the Navajo asks, which one wins the fight? And the answer is the one that you feed. And I have a feeling my biggest fear right now is social media, the news, the politics, the concerns about global war, the concerns about economics and finance. All these stressors are coming in on people, and we're feeding the wrong wolf. And we've lost our humanity. We've lost our ability to be compassionate, kind, and respectful with each other. And we've lost our ability to love. And I'm afraid that it's all going to fall apart because we're feeding the wrong wolf.
I agree.
That's good.
It's a great point.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what? That's also a good way to end it, because we're gonna wrap up because of the time on the East Coast. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you guys for being here. Everybody who's in chat, whether you've commented or not, if you're in there, you're appreciated. And Mary, good to see you coming in. And I just wanted to quickly wrap it up also by saying thank you for Harvey for moderating. Maybe we'll start with Prepper Dog, because I know the time zone is crazy. Could you just let us know perhaps where people can find you, and maybe what's next for your channel?
Oh yeah, Prepper Dog. Yeah, if you just pretty easy to find me if you just put in Prepper and then DAWG, and you will see me. And a lot of people will say, "Well, what's up with the dog thing? Okay, why are you called Dog?" And it's I'm a University of Georgia graduate and a football fan, of course, for life until I'm dead and beyond. But so the nickname of the team is Dogs, and so the way we spell it is DAWGS. So hence my name when I was thinking of a channel name. So, but no, as far as what's next, I usually talk a lot about current events and how we should react to them and learn from them and prepare for what's ahead. And like you guys, like we've been talking about, the financial situation concerns me the most at the moment. But there's a lot of things going on in the world. You know, there's in the Middle East right now, like we were just talking about, what Cold War Prepper was talking about. And of course, we can't forget about Russia, Ukraine, and what's going on there, China. I mean, there's just hot spots all over the place. So we have to keep an eye on all that too.
Thank you, Prepper Dog. Apartment Prepper, how about you? Where can everyone find you? You're on Instagram and YouTube.
Instagram, YouTube. That's where I am, and I don't post on Instagram as much as I used to. My life has kind of been crazy, and I'm not even posting on YouTube right now as much as I used to, but I'm trying to get that sorted. I will be packing and moving over the next couple weeks, so give me a couple weeks and I'll be back at it, though.
Awesome. And how about you, Prepping by Faith?
I'm on YouTube, guys. That's where you can find me. So that's where I dwell. I haven't really branched out into all these other platforms just because, for time's sake, I don't even know if I could find time to manage one other one. So YouTube it is.
Yeah, great. And make sure you guys all hit the reminder and notification of the live stream on Friday over at Prepping by Faith. It'll be a good one about the death of the dollar. And Cold War Prepper, tell us.
Well, right now I'm working with my followers, and I taught them my system of planning meals, and I do all my purchases for my pantry based on a planned meal. Now I put that into a spreadsheet, so all the rows going down are basically the days 1 through 31, and then the column. I'm sorry, those are columns. The rows are the month, and then breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you just put a number in, and then you know which. And so I have this card system. So what I'm doing is giving a breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day that you can use to plan your own card system, purchase it, and then plan out your eating for anywhere from 1 week to 1 year. So that's kind of where we are working and focusing right now on my channel. And all I do is YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, I know it's late for some of you guys, not so much me. YJ Overlander, I'd love to connect with you another time to maybe, see if we're anywhere near the same region, can share some ideas. And with that, we will say goodbye. Thanks to everyone for being here.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.